The papers today will be presented by three scholars. We have Professor Dr. Amara Joshi here from Nepal. Professor Joshi. We have Chao Chuanpu from China. I would like to invite. The papers today will be presented by three scholars. We have Professor Dr. Amara Joshi here from Nepal. Professor Joshi. We have Chao Chuanpu from China. I would like to invite Ms. Chao Chuanpu to come on the stage, and we have Muhammad Hasnat Sahab all the way from Pakistan to come on the dais. We are already late by around 1 hour, so we can save this time by putting our question right to the point instead of presenting very long backgrounds to the questions. So that way I believe we can save time and we can mitigate this gap. So now it's over to Madam Gadir to give detailed introduction of the participants, the paper presenters, and take the whole affair in your hand. Thank you.
Presenters, they are with us here to present their papers today. First presenter is Mr. Muhammad Hassan Hasrat from Pakistan. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I would like to express my thanks to the Chancellor, Nepal Academy and his team for arrangement of such a beautiful conference in Kathmandu. This paper aims to identify and explore the unique features of the cultural heritage in trans-Himalayan regions, especially with reference to Baltistan, which is located in the extreme north of Pakistan. The study is based on a wide range of materials derived from archaeology, ethnography, anthropology, and folk literature, as well as the personal experiences of the researcher, being son of the soil. To dramatize the paper, few video clips of cultural reflections have been included here for those unfamiliar with the culture of Baltistan. Clip number 1, please. Please, clip number 1. This is the landscape of Baltistan. The inspiring rugged grandeur, unique topography with lofty mountains, as well as historical background with rich cultural diversity and rare species of flora and fauna of the trans-Himalayan regions have always been a mystery and attraction to the mankind from time immemorial. Especially Baltistan, spread over an area of more than 10,000 square miles in the extreme north of Pakistan, between the Himalaya and Karakoram ranges, just adjacent to Ladakh and Kargil, has remained a cultural treasure to researchers. It remained the land of peace and divine with natural beauty. Nature has been very gracious to Baltistan in its endowments of towering peaks, gigantic glaciers, and majestic rivers. It has more than 45 peaks of over 20,000 feet high and is proud to have K2 in the second highest peak of the world. culture of this region have been preserved to some extent through folk literature, religious hymns, published books, and audio-video documentaries, but a number of intangible cultural components are going to extinct. The lingual and ethnical culture of Baltistan originated in the ancient Tibet, but cultural invasions from four states by the immigrants of the Mons of ancient North Khmer, Central Asia, and Iran, just after the conversion of the people of the region to Islam in 14th century, have made its culture multifarious. The cultural aspects of the area can be divided into few subtopics. Language. The language spoken by more than 5 lakh people in Baltistan is called Balti, which is the extreme western branch of Tibeto-Burman of Sino-Tibetan language family. As such, linguistic relation of Baltistan goes up to Amdo Tibet on one side, while Bhutan and Sherpa of Nepal on the other. It is a matter of fact that Balti is, as well as its linguistically very closely related dialects, varieties of Turki and Ladakhi, neighboring in the east, belonging to the most archaic Tibetan languages. The old Tibetan writing script called Yege is not in practice in Baltistan at this time, since the conversion of the people to Islam, and they adopted the Perso-Arabic script for writing of their literature. However, a group of youth is trying to revive the ancient Tibetan script for writing Balti literature in Baltistan. But it is seen impossible to succeed due to social changes and colloquial differences between Balti and the written Tibetan language. However, Balti language has a large stock of religious and secular poetry to its credit, but this language is not used for teaching purposes in sector. As such, UNESCO has enlisted Balti language as one of the endangered languages of the world. Clip number 2. Yes, please. Clip number 2. Yes. Next, folk literature. Folk literature of this trans-Himalayan region of Pakistan, as well as Kargil and Ladakh, consists of prose and poetry encompassing epics, folk tales, folk songs, and proverbs. The region has the renowned Kasar epic to its credit, which is in vogue in all the regions of Tibetan belt, that is Mongolia, Bhutan, Sikkim, Nepal, Ladakh, Kargil, and Baltistan. The World Organization UNESCO has declared it the longest epic of the world. This epic is considered to be the treasure of ancient civilization, culture, tradition, customs, and linguistic glossary of Balti language. You may watch a clip from the Kasar epic in Balti language. Clip number 3. Yes, please. Yes, voice. Voice, please. Voice. I want to show you the style of recitation of Kasar epic. video clip. This is video clip. So, another important folk heritage folk songs found in the Trans-Himalayan regions, particularly in Baltistan. These folk songs reflect the incident of history, cultural and social values, romantic affairs, and expression of emotions for each other. Dozens of folk songs like Sri Sultancho, Mulbek Kalon, Trogayato, Dolat Khan, and Shera Mulbek reflect the romantic lives and social justice of Baltistan and Ladakh. A short clip of recitation of the folk song Trogayato is displayed. Video clip number 4. Do you play? Clip number 4. Voice. There is no voice. It was checked before the starting of the conference. There was correct. Buddhist relics. Buddhist preachers started preaching their religion and to extend the influences over the Trans-Himalayan region from North India. They embarked upon their journey almost during the 2nd century before the birth of Christ. Baltistan remained under the influence of Buddhism for centuries till the conversion into Islam in 14th century AD. A number of rock carvings depicting the wild animals like ibex, horses, arrow hunters, stupas, and statues of Buddha, as well as Tibetan writings, are still found in various places of Baltistan, which have been preserved by the Muslims of the region, declaring those as holy places. Particularly the rock carving of Buddha court of noble called Mandala, situated in Skardu, has much importance in the whole region. It is not only a religious relic, but also an ancient, valuable masterpieces of graphic art carved on a big rock. This famous Buddha relief represents the late phase of the golden era of Buddhism in this region between the 8th and 10th century. The carving of a standing Buddha on the rock at Salim near Hapulu and the fine relief of a Bodhisattva in Parkuta belong to a group of Buddhist monuments in Baltistan. You can see a clip of the video of mandala rock carving in Skardu. Video clip number 5, please. Yes. Historical, cultural, built heritage. The Islamic monasteries, forts, and palaces of the local rulers, tombs of the saints, and historical mosques are the true and living cultural emblem in Trans-Himalayan region, particularly in Baltistan, Pakistan. The religious centers remained always as a symbol of peace and humanity. These built heritage reflect the Tibetan architecture with strong influences of Persian and Mughal art of cribbage, arch, lattices, and other wood carvings. The architecture of Baltistan is based on the use of log house structure applied to all the prominent buildings, religious or secular architecture locally called thatar. This technique of architecture is considered seismic proof. Video clip number 6, please. Yes. Traditional dishes. The Trans-Himalayan region have many kinds of unique traditional foods in which marjan, sapkur, bale, plapu, kisir, salted tea, and sattu are worth mentioning. Food items have been greatly influenced by Kashmir and Punjab as the non-local dishes of many varieties such as kebab, kufta, pulao, rogan josh, goshtaba, and yakhni, etc. are widely in practice in Baltistan. Video clip number 7, Traditional dresses. The dresses and foods of a particular region have vivid geographical and climatical impacts as well as influence of relationship with the neighboring countries. Today, the dresses of the inhabitants of Trans-Himalayan region, that is Baltistan, Kargil and Ladakh, have changed with the countless changes in their social system. However, woolen kurta, woolen shalwar, woolen kar, etc. were the traditional dresses in the past. Clip number 8, please. Yes. Traditional sports. The traditional sports of Trans-Himalayan regions like Baltistan, Kargil, and Ladakh are archery, apus, cholo, kampolo, and tapu, etc. are still played by the youth as practiced in old days. Among these sports, polo is an important game which is considered to be the national game of Baltistan. It is called the royal game also. Baltistan is the home to polo, which may indeed have originated in Baltistan, which was played in developed shape before the Christian era. The word polo is also a Balti word meaning a round thing that is a ball. The people of Baltistan are very fond of horse riding and expert in the game of polo. The Balti people introduced the polo game to its eastern and western neighbors centuries ago. A clip of the game of king, that is polo, in Skardu, Baltistan. Music, dances, and other cultural activities. The rituals as well as social and recreational ceremonies in Trans-Himalayan region, particularly in Baltistan, Kargil, and Ladakh, are composed of marriages and death ceremonies. Losar, that is New Year festival, and Mefang, etc. Other than the religious celebrations, the ancient festival of illumination Mefang is celebrated there on 21st December every year. In the ceremonies, traditional dishes, gatherings, and parties of music and dance are also held. The exuberant voices and resounding laughter of Balti people show their love for music and dances, which is the reason of their cheerfulness. Balti music, currently in practice in Baltistan, has clear influences from old Persian and Mughal Indian music. A scene of sword dance is displayed here. Video clip number 10. Next. conclusion, this fact can never be denied that the people of Trans-Himalayan region have been exemplarily peaceful in the world, which is due to their culture and civilization. The state of Aboriginal culture in Trans-Himalayan regions, especially in Baltistan, is not so promising. It is going to witness an identity crisis due to the influx and invasion of electronic media. Though intellectual activities have brought some prosperity, but the common man is in the grip of an inferiority complex. Usually, the common man is of the view that his language is of no social importance in comparison with English, Urdu, and Arabic languages. He understands that his culture is backward and it cannot help him keep pace with the modern world. Moreover, the neighboring small groups and communities of combined culture of Trans-Himalayan regions are geographically divided and separated in different countries, and they are not linked to each other. This feeling has resulted in causing hindrance to develop the cultural sensation to flourish in the material world without abandoning their language, customs, and culture in Trans-Himalayan regions. For this purpose, cultural connectivity and literary exchange is very much vital to develop and encourage the various communities of the Trans-Himalayan regions. The China South Asia Literature Forum may chalk out such a visionary program to enhance the regional cooperation from time to time for the promotion of culture and literary activities with the aim of upholding larger humanistic values and traditions as revealed in its charter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Hassan Hazrat from Pakistan. Thank you.
We are sorry for this intervention. We have the Senior Director of Nepal Tourism Board with us, Sir Sunil Sharma, and we had scheduled his presentation later, but due to certain unavoidable circumstances, we are advancing it and we are placing it here, and the papers will be resumed later on. I'm sorry for that,
Yes, it's okay.
Moderator ma'am. And all our proceedings this morning are live on Facebook through Nepal Academy Facebook, and it can be enjoyed from any part of the world. So here I invite Sir Sunil Sharma from Nepal Tourism Board for a short presentation.
Check, check.
यसलाई चाहिँ अन गर्छौँ युट्युब चाहिँ ल Good morning and namaste. My name is Sunil Sharma and I represent Nepal Tourism Board. It is really an honor for me to stand over here and to represent my country and make a brief presentation on my country about Nepal, a short presentation about the destination, all about it. Thank you very much for inviting us. And once again, I'm really honored to be here in the Trans-Himalayan Cultural and Literary Connectivity. Although I don't come from the literature background, I'm much more interested in it. With this, I will start a short presentation on Nepal. Nepal at a glance, if you have to look at it, it is in the South Asia, and its three side is surrounded by India, and northern side is surrounded by China. Very small area with population of 29 million approximately. Languages that is spoken over here is Nepali, English are widely understood, and $1 is almost 114 rupees, Nepalese rupees, and the climate is very good one, subtropical in lowland to the Arctic in the higher altitude. We do have the museums in Nepal, lots of museums. The country is known for the cultural museum. That means that Nepal is known for the living museum because we don't have the museum inside the buildings. All our architectural design, temples are outside of the building. So you don't have to go inside a building to know about the culture of Nepal. It is openly in the street. That's why we say that Nepal is a living museum with intact culture, tradition, landscape offers you lifetime experiences. And this small country has many things to present. Elevation from 60 meters to the highest, 8,848. That is the height of Mount Everest, tallest mountain in the world, followed by the Living Cultural Museum. Then we have the stage for the world records in soft and extreme adventures, inhabited by 123 ethnic groups and speaking 125 different languages. We have untamed, incredible biodiversity. 8% of the world population of birds are found in Nepal, followed by 2% of all the flowering plants in the world. 319 species of exotic orchids. 11 of the world's 15 families of butterflies. And highest altitude lake at 4,919 meters. Then 8 out of 14 peaks of 8,000 meters is in Nepal. Rich, as I told you already, it is a rich cultural heritage. And coming to the facts and figures about the number of the tourist arrival, we have just crossed the marks of 1 million of tourist arrival in Nepal, and the top 5 countries in terms of nationalities are Indians, followed by Chinese, then Americans, Sri Lankans, and UK. The country boasts of 12 national parks, such a small country, but still we have the 12 national parks, followed by 6 conservation areas, 1 wildlife reserve, 1 hunting reserve, and 10 Ramsar sites. That's why we have jungle safari, and the people love to come here to introduce about the rich biodiversity. Not only the cultural experiences, it is about the rich biodiversity as well. As I told you already, it is a living museum that you are more interested to have a look, and you get the cultural experience while walking on the street of the Kathmandu Valley itself. Why Nepal? Most of the question, why should I go to the Nepal? There are many reasons that you have to come to Nepal, and one is that it is the gateway to the Himalaya. It is the culture and adventure experience all about it, and then it's the stage for the world records and all hospitable people. This one I have already highlighted. Kumari, the only living goddess in the world. While seeking out any auspicious work, we seek her blessing. If we get her blessings, then we feel that our work will see the good luck and it will be fruitful. So it is the only, again I will repeat, it is the living goddess, only living goddess in the world. Ethnic culture, different dance, different ethnic culture performing different dances. Major product strength of Nepal, rich culture. Seen here is a biscuit jatra, which is done in the Nepalese New Year, where all the city's people gather in the open courtyard to see the chariot being brought up from one corner to another corner. So that's why we call it as a live living museum. Rich cultural heritage, art, we are very good in the art also. This is called the Thangka paintings. The Thangka painting which is exported to the Europe and the USA and very expensive as well, and very delicate art. Lumini, the birthplace of Lord Buddha, very popular among the Buddhist followers and the Hindu followers as well. Pashupatinath, another popular among the Hindu pilgrimage sites. The traditional Nepalese cuisine, the delicatessen of the Nepalese cuisine, which is very healthy and highly nutritious. Then we have these stunning views, one of the 8,000 meters above the Himalayas, that is the Mount Makalu. And this is followed by the rhododendrons. Nepal boasts of 32 species of rhododendrons. Then we have the biggest lake of Nepal, the pristine landscape. You can see the Rara Lake. We call it if we call the heaven on the earth, it will not be exaggeration. Great Himalayan trail routes. You can see the stunning stars. You can have the adventure experience. The pristine view again, the landscape that is sure to attract you. Damphe or Himalayan monal, the national bird of Nepal. I don't have to say anything about it. The trekking, if you have not done trekking in Nepal, you have not seen Nepal. So those who have time over here, I'll request you to have a couple of days for the hiking or the trekking in Nepal. Paragliding, then whitewater rafting, we call it adventure of a lifetime. We have the good amenities also, the big hotels also. And having said that one, in 2020, we are launching a campaign called Visit Nepal Year 2020, where we expect 22 million tourists. So this is where we will also expect to see you in 2020, not only here in 2019. And we expect that you will be sending your friends and relatives to visit such a beautiful country. And we are almost everywhere in the international media. For example, recently National Geographic came out with the cover story of 100 unforgettable destinations. Among them, Nepal was also there, and it rests into the 18th number. Nepal was done. It is the Annapurna Sanctuary, one of the most popular trekking area. So it has been done by many tourists, and it is Annapurna Sanctuary is everywhere, in Discovery Channel, in National Geography Channel, everywhere. This is followed by the Wanderlust, the British magazine, which said to the top travel hot list in 2019. So it listed Nepal also. Why? Because it says that you shouldn't go to Nepal for its stunning landscape or culture. You should come to Nepal for its wildlife conservation also. The country which boasts of zero poaching in last couple of years. So we have been, with its limited technical know-how and with the small knowledge, the small country has been boasting of increasing the number of tigers and one-horned rhinoceros, which is applauded by the international media and international community as well. So please do visit Nepal to appreciate the conservation efforts done by the local people. And then this was followed by the Travel and Leisure American magazine, which said that, okay, please go to Nepal. Why? For the eco-treks. That eco-treks is in terms of the going to the Red Panda network, going to the eastern part of Nepal, where you can learn, besides landscape and culture, you can also learn about the livelihoods of the Red Panda. So it is a wonderful area where you can visit and learn about it. Having said that, I just wind up my presentation, and I'll say I believe that Nepal is definitely promises you to have a memorable trip over here, and once you are going back to your own country, you will be taking the beautiful memories out of it. Having said that, I finished my presentation over here. Hope you like it, and hope you'll make a time to visit Nepal. Thank you very much. And after this, I have one small video for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's amazing. And thank you very much for the Tourism Board of Nepal for presenting what is here and what is to experience. One more is there.
hope you like this small video. If you have any queries, I'm ready here to answer it. Should you have any queries regarding it or anything about Nepal, I'd like to answer it. If any queries. This video is also available in YouTube of Nepal Tourism Board. So if you, there are not only these videos, many videos, promotional videos are available here. We have taken these suggestions and we'll coordinate. We'll see what we can do. If not, then we'll see what we will do. We don't know. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will go on with the papers. I would like to invite Ms. Zompo to present her paper.
各位作家朋友，大家上午好。
Okay, ladies and friends, dear fellow writers, good morning.
我来自中国陕西省西安市。
I'm from Xi'an City of Shanxi Province of China.
大家知道西安是唐诗的故乡。
As you know, Xi'an is the hometown of Tang poetry.
我主要从事小说创作。
Yet I focus at fiction writing.
我今天的发言在手册的93页。
You can find the English version of my paper on the page 93 of the book.
The paper is on the booklet 93 and 94 page. If you have any questions, please write it and send it to here. So after the last paper, I will open the floor for the question and queries. Thank you, Ms. Do. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Ammaraj Joshi from Nepal to present his paper. Please.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor,
啊，目前我的长篇小说还没有英文版，就是一些个别的短篇小说有英文版，有韩语、德语。
德语吗？还是俄语？
德语。
我知道，德语吗？还是俄语？俄语。
德国德语。德国德国。
德语。So actually, all of these fictions I mentioned, they're only in Chinese versions. But a few of my short stories, they have been translated into foreign languages, into English, Korean, and German.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Yogendra Yadav.
My main interest is addressed to Amaraji. But before that, I would like to point out two things regarding the questions and answers asked earlier. Regarding the data provided by Tourism Board, I said there are two minor corrections in the number of ethnic groups and the number of languages. The number of ethnic groups, 125, according to 2011 census. And the number of languages, 123. But it has just been reversed. So if someone from Tourism Board is here, please make these corrections. Professor Duvinan Dhakal, he asked about Balti language. I think this is a well-known thing. Summary Institute of Linguistics, with support from Professor Tariq Rahman from Pakistan, They have produced a book on the socio-linguistic study of northern Pakistan, and that book includes Balti. Okay, so please refer to that. And this book is available in our library. Now, first of all, I would like to appreciate and thank Professor Amara Joshi for his very insightful and comprehensive presentation. I liked it very much. This is, you have referred to folk narratives in different ethnic groups and also different languages spoken in Nepal. And you have also referred to the diversity. You are also, to use Sunil's term, you are also celebrating diversity. I liked it. Now, along with diversity, you also have convergence. No, when things, two or more things, come into contact, they influence each other. So there is convergence also. Now, if there are diversities and convergence in a language, what happens in linguistics that we use a sort of thing like parametric variation, a sort of typological study. Could you, I just want to explore, could we also apply this methodology of using typological study to find out, to explain, to account for the divergence and convergence among different sort of folk narratives? This is the question, and this is just a kind of thing. Could you apply this kind of thing, a sort of typological study?
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your interesting question, and primarily for your compliments. I do agree that there is diversity and there is conversion, and there is a possibility of using the typological mode of study for, making a comprehensive study of the folk narratives. And that has been basically done, and I have referred to Vladimir Prop, over here. They have done, I have referred to two writers, and I have looked into the modality of carrying out a study, Vladimir Prop and Levi Strauss. And they intend to carry out the paradigmatic and syntagmatic study of the folk narratives. They have very comprehensively done the things. But I have repeatedly reiterated that we have not yet arrived to a final systematic sort of study of the folk narrative. It's an ongoing sort of process. And the suggestion that you are really making for using a typological mode of study, looking at the typology of the types of the folk narratives, and then going into myriads of modes of their study. That will be a very useful. That's very useful, and always you can make a significant sort of contribution in the study of folk narrative. And to tell the truth, from multiple perspectives, folk narratives have been really taken into consideration. It's not only on the basis of the motives and the themes that these folk narratives, folk tales have been studied. They are even studied on the basis of structure, the make, the form, and then the types. So so many linguistic models do exist. There are people who look at different types of folk tales, and structurally, look at them. And this structure again is, on the one hand, the linguistic structure in the make of the language, how these folk tales make a study of the language used in the folk tale, and on the other, the overall structure, which may slightly deviate from linguistic per se. So, a very interesting suggestion from the perspective of typology. If we put and segregate stories on the basis of types, and then comprehensively put folk narratives of different communities parallel and look into them, interesting findings will come out. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The next question is from Dr. Sunil to Dr. Ammaraj Joshi.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. It's actually, first of all, I really want to appreciate the dense, insightful, and very delightful with dramatic points your presentation. But there are two questions that I want to ask. Now, you are being very humble and modest, not acknowledging yourself as a full-fledged folklorist. And this is what actually folklorists are doing. No? Your paper is an evidence that you are a full-fledged folklorist. So take the challenge as a folklorist. I just wanted to ask you, in your observation of analyzing Nepali folk tales, now my attention has been drawn to the area where you give brief idea of classification side and categorization by Thompson and other people. What do you think? This Carl Jung's, the concept of archetype, could it be used in your, say, in your observation, have you come across any archetypes that, concurrently come and, they occur in folk tales? And it might make some interesting, in sense to understand them deeper in their own structures and things. The second thing that I want to ask you is that I have come across that very interesting work by Professor A.K. Ramanujan. It's unfinished work. He also was not, telling that he was not a folklorist, but he has collected a lot of huge amount of Gujarati stories and tried to categorize it. And he came up with this idea of women-centered stories, right? And very interesting. I found now perhaps after his passing away, people have published this book, Flooring Tree, right? And I have come across this idea of women-centered stories, and he theorized that this transition period, from matriarchal to patriarchal, in this passage, women has perhaps, has started imagining another life, different life than the patriarchal system. So stories came up from that kind of maybe quest. Do you? It's not. It's. I should not ask that. But have you any idea among these stories? There could be some women-centered stories as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil, for your interesting remarks. Regarding the first question that you do have, do the Nepali folk tales or folk narratives follow any archetypes? Well, that's a global phenomenon, actually. And in my paper, in the beginning, I've really categorized folk tales based on the myths and that originate from the myths, that borrow things from the myths, and move to the legends and to the modern tales. The progress of folk narratives, right from the mythic reservoir, coming from the mythic reservoir, archetypal reservoir, and moving towards the modern felt experiences. So if you look at the folk tales, you'll definitely see that there are stories which do have their roots in those mythical roots, which say certain archetypes for the modern sort of expressions and reflections and imaginaries in these narratives. I do have a lot of examples, you know, and that's why the essence of folk tales lies in their mythic reflections and archetypal base. You know, otherwise they won't be really making that sort of influence on the readers, I guess. Why do they happen to be so touchy and so impressive is because they do have their roots in the myths, and they set the archetypes. You know, going into the examples will take a task. Will take time. That's why I'm cutting short. And the second thing that you said, women-centered stories, or stories dealing with the patriarchal or matriarchal mindset. Amazingly, I have in my paper referred to a text, wise women stories. You know, from China. And here in Nepal too, many stories spring from home. They spring from home. And when your stories originate from home, they come from the lap of the mother or the grandmother or the woman. And most, if you look at the tropes, if you look at the motives, you know, most of the motives are associated with these relations of man and woman, matriarchal and patriarchal mindsets, and how these mindsets make a difference in the making of the culture of the society. You know, very interesting. And very often, there are many folk narratives, folk tales in Nepal, which talk about the cruelty of the stepmother and the unwavering love of the mother. And this unwavering love of the mother is the source of life and joy for the offspring and for the family. And this notion of regarding mother in the South Asian culture is one of the archetypes that you really refer to. You know, that's an archetype. You know, why do we respect women so much in the South Asian culture? Where does this idea crop up? Where does this idea emerge from? This idea really emerges from the folk wisdom, folk narrative, folk wit of the region. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. Next is Dr. Dubi Nanda Dawal, please.
My question to Amarraj Joshi sir. It's not a question as such, it's a small query. I haven't worked much on folk narratives and folklore, but when I worked on language documentation in different communities, I found that some stories exist across different linguistic communities. For example, when I worked in Darai and Tharu and Raji, I found that different versions of Sunkesri Rani, the same story exists in these three linguistic communities, but the versions differ. And my question to Amarraj Joshi sir is, did you come in your collection, did you come across such stories which exist not only in the area where you are working, but also in other areas of Nepal and in other linguistic communities?
Thank you, sir, for your observation. Very interesting idea. How this diversion takes place or difference takes place in the folk narratives. As we move along, the linear or linear lines or or the vertical lines of linguistic diversity. Well, to me, it's not only linguistic diversity that brings in difference in the folk narrative or variation in folk narrative. It's even the geography. Even the geography. And one very recent example that I do have is of Sisir Basanta Ko Katha, which I recorded in Bajang and I recorded in Danildhura. In Danildhura, I recorded it only 20 or 25 days back when I went there for a seminar. I recorded. I found the entire story is the same, but there is one episode which is completely different, an addition. So, in terms of language, in terms of geography, geographical variation, in terms of cultural sort of variation, story is really same story too. Sometimes what you do have in multiple communities, you do have the common imaginaries. By that, what I mean, you do have the common story, but with multiple variations as the language varies and the geography varies. So that I have really come up with. And very interesting, I was looking at the Chinese stories and the Nepali stories. A Chinese story of a wise woman. What happens, an old man does have three sons. Two sons are married. He has two daughters-in-law, and one son is unmarried. And these two daughters-in-law want to go to their mother's place, but the father-in-law says, well, if you do two things for me, I will allow you, otherwise I won't. And the two things that he demands is that from your mother's place, if you bring me fire wrapped in a paper and air wrapped in a paper, fire wrapped in a paper and air wrapped in a paper, then only I will allow you to go to your mother's place, otherwise, no. And these daughters-in-law who are insistent on going to their mother's place agree, well, but when they stay in their mother's place and come back, there is no way what to do. If they don't go with fire wrapped in paper and air wrapped in paper, the father-in-law would not allow them home. And they were worrying and they were talking to each other what to do. A tiny little girl comes across them and says, what is your problem? You look so very sad. And this child says, and they tell this story to this child. And our father-in-law has asked for these things and we don't know what to do. That's a simple thing. Wrap a lantern in a piece of paper and take it home to him. And wrap a fan wrapped in a piece of paper and take it home. And they take it home and the father-in-law is happy. Oh, my daughters-in-law are so clever. And how did you know this? He asked. There was a little girl. That little girl is appropriate for my third son. and this anecdote, I was looking at the folk narratives and I found this anecdote replicated not only in Nepali stories, in Indian stories as well. I found that reflection. I mean, therefore, your point is so pertinent. Some similarity really recurs, but this recurrence brings about slight sort of variation and twist in the folk narratives. But the shared impulses are common. We do have all. The humanity does have the shared impulses, and that's why we are here. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Mr. Mohan Lahani to Professor Joshi. The question is here. Please.
Thank you for your question, sir. The question that Professor Lohani has come up with is, do you think that folk tales of Nepal represent a fine blend of fusion of facts and fiction, realism, and artistic imagination? Right in the beginning of my paper, I said that logical particularity, aesthetic refinement, extreme amount of aesthetic refinement, and very, very refined, discursive, and rhetorical appeals are not what make the folk tales better. The wit and the wisdom. The wit and the wisdom that is there in folk tales makes folk tales more interesting than this artistic, aesthetic refinement or embellishment. So we started this embellishment because our imaginative power went on eroding, I feel. In the contemporary world, we are facing the erosion of the imaginative faculty, and as a result, what we move towards more the embellishment of language, which makes interesting sort of appeal. But in the folk narratives, so much of wit and wisdom is there that you do not at all need the embellishment. I mean, you don't at all need the, look at the Birabal and Birabal Khichdi, perhaps Birabal's Khichdi. I don't have to refer to that, where when a king asks a washerman, go and stay in west deep water over the night, and if cold water, if you can, I will award you anything that you want. And this man goes and dips him over there, stays overnight, comes in the morning and claims the prize. And the king asks, how did you stay in the cold water throughout the night? And this washerman says, far away I saw the glimmer of light, and that glimmer of light was the source of my living. That was the source of my living, he says. That glimmer of light sustained my life in the cold water, west deep cold water. And how can this happen? It doesn't give heat, and you are telling a lie. You haven't stayed in west deep water, so you don't deserve any prize. And disappointed, this man goes home, and Birabal is not happy. Birabal is not happy, and that's why he starts making khichdi. He sets a tripod, hangs the pot up on the top, and makes the fire at the bottom. And says, and the king comes and tries to ask Birabal, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing over here? How can you cook khichdi by putting the pot on the top of the tripod and making fire at the bottom? How can you do it? And if the washerman can get the heat from far away, my khichdi will also cook. So this is the type of wisdom that folk narratives entail. And that's what gives resonance to the spirit of folk tales. And that's why extreme amount of imaginative faculty, wit makes it more interesting. And in terms of this issue of fact and fiction, there is always a blend. Best folk tales, right in the beginning I said, most of the people consider that folk tales are historical. Even if they are historical, they are the best history. Our guru, Professor Manandar, perhaps would agree with this. I mean, not only the deaths, not only the real happenings reveal the facts. Sometimes people's imaginaries, bring forth the fact in such a way that they become more real than the real. And there lies the relevance of literature. Because the unreal is pushed to the domain of real with creative imaginaries. And that's why a beautiful blend, a beautiful fusion is there. And by studying the folk tales, we can, in a best possible way, study the culture, study the society, study the psyche of the individual, study the imaginaries of the individual. Thank you.
Thank you. After the two questions, we are going to finish this session. First, from Professor Krishna Paunjel.
Thank you. I am really happy to have my guru's beautiful, wonderful presentation this morning. Really, folk tales, if you don't mind. My grandmother used to tell me folk tales. But I'm sorry to say that my wife may not be able to tell any stories to my grandchildren. So do you think folk narratives will survive long if grandmothers like my wife may not be able to narrate stories to their grandchildren? One. The second is, since mindsets have been changing due to this globalization, modernization, etc., do you think the folk tales will survive in new form, or they will keep on surviving, or we will be telling, retelling, narrating, re-narrating Gunkeri kathas and Birbal Akbar's kathas like that?
Okay.
This much.
Thank you. Very interesting questions. I think it does, right? Very interesting questions. The first question is whether the folk narratives are going to survive. How about the oral traditions? How about the lullabies? How about the grandma tales? How about the grandma tales and how about the lullabies? And how many of us and how many of our children come across these lullabies and grandma tales? I grew up in a very remote location where the only mode of recreation was listening to the riddles, the proverbs, the Gaon Khane Kathas, and these tiny little folk tales of the remote location. When I came to Kathmandu for the first time, it took me 16 days. I had to walk for 11 days down to Tarai. That is the location I come from. That's the location. And therefore, the only source for me was the oral transmission of this verbal artifact, which was the lifeblood for me. But over the time, a lot of progress has taken place. And this progress has invited the preservation, invited the possibility of the preservation of these oral tradition in new mode, and has also been the cause of the death and the disappearance of these folk tales. And that's why we are at a juncture where we have to face the hot and the cold waves, happy and the sad. We are at the juncture where we are cast in a situation which, will force us to the sense of loss of the past glory, past wit, and wisdom of our ancestors, and the future possibilities, whatsoever they are. We are at that juncture. But while raising this question, I believe you do certainly have in mind the tradition, the oral tradition, and the essence of this oral tradition. The essence of this oral tradition lies in the lack of any other modes of expression. Because other modes of expression didn't exist, new modes came. And now very interesting modes have come. I don't know whether these modes will be as interesting as the folk tales. I mean, Facebooking and Facebook chatting and writing your anecdotes and narratives on the Facebook and passing things on the. I don't know where this culture will take, but new incarnations of narratives will take place. But I'm worried of what Dr. Sunil was coming up with, whether we'll have those beautiful archetypes, whether we'll have that possibility of setting those beautiful archetypes for our posterity. That's the only worry. And in the second form, when you are talking about the whether it will be able, a folk tale will be able to take the new incarnations. There will be definitely, the world doesn't end over here. The world will move. But there will be incarnations of the stories, of the folk narratives, of myths and all those things. There will be new incarnations. But the only question is whether these new incarnations will be as interesting as the narratives, folk narratives were, as folk lores really passed on. Will that be as interesting as that? That is rather a question, I guess. New incarnation will come, but these new incarnations will, I don't know whether we'll have that mythic ethos, that archetypal possibility in them, that wit and intelligence, that vibe. That sort of thing will remain or not. I'm doubtful, and I'm in no position to respond, as such, in a definitive way. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one from Ms. Manju Kachule.
My last inquisition is a little deviation from the discussions going on around here. I have known Dr. Amarraj Joshi since long as a poet writing in English language, and I had the opportunity to speak about his poetry, collection poetry, in the inauguration program in the dais along with my guru, Dr. Lohani, and he is the head of the department of Tribhuvan University. But now he is speaking much more about folklore. So many experiences include in folklore. My inquisition is whether these experiences about folklore has influenced his writing poetry as well or not, and how is it? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. She's a wonderful poet, and she also writes. She writes poems. She's a prominent poet, whereas I'm a professional, working in the real academic location. So thank you for your inquiry. Last week, I had a reading, and Professor Lohani perhaps missed that. And I wrote a poem on Parijat, recycling the myth of Parijat, a pretty long poem, which is in which does have the intonation. Why I'm referring to that is there are definitely certain point of references. And to respond to your question, ma'am, at the end of my paper, I have asserted that these reservoirs of folk narratives can be the best point of references for immersing on your creative career, for immersing yourself in the creative career, because they give you insights. They give you so many insights. And that's why one of the collections of my short stories, which was published by Others Publication Delhi, and which is entitled A Night's Drama. A Night's Drama. This very title, I owe this title to a folk narrative that prevails in my location. It's all about a performance that women do on the very night of the marriage. When the marriage procession goes to the bride's house, and the house over here remains backwards, remains no males remain in the house in the village. Women perform a dance at night, which is in the eastern part perhaps it is called Ratyoli or whatever. In my part, they Ratyadi, Ratyadi, and I gave the title to my stories. The title of my stories is The Night's Drama, which it's a collection of stories. So the point that you really brought forth is very interesting. I mean, these are reservoirs of knowledge and wisdom and intelligence. And we have lot to borrow. Creative artists have lot to borrow from there. And a lot of things have come up in these discussions, whether some works are translation or transcreations or translations or transcreations or creations or what's. These things came, and I had the observation that all creative writings really begin from the borrowings. From the borrowings. Nothing is new in the world. Nothing is new. Everything is there. And the only thing is that when we perceive it, we think it to be new. That's what I really feel as a person writing in my own capacity in a creative way to some extent. So there is a possibility, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think now it is time to finish this session. Once again, I thank Mr. Muhammad Hassan Hazrat from Pakistan and Ms. Zhao Zhompo from China, Professor Dr. Amaraj Joshi from Nepal to presenting their papers in this session. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here at Chandragiri Hill, a beautiful view and a nice experience to us. Thank you very much to our Chancellor of Nepal Academy and the management of Nepal Academy for their hospitality and warm welcoming to us. Thank you very much once again, and I think we are ready for lunch. Thank you. 2 o'clock, we have to be here at 2 o'clock, so please come at time. Thank you.
अहिले भोजनको समय रहेको छ। हामी भोजनपछि 2 बजे यसै सब all the delegates and guests who are still out of the auditorium are kindly invited to join us for the valedictory session starting very shortly. The second China South Asia Literature Forum 2019 that kicked off in Kathmandu on the 15th of this month is technically coming to an end this evening, this afternoon here, though we have a couple of events more, including sightseeing trips for tomorrow and day after as well. But the formal sessions, the technical sessions and the academic sessions are coming to a closure this afternoon, and we have convened here for the valedictory session. So first I would like to request all the delegates to be seated on their respective seats so that we all build up a decorum, peace and serenity in the hall and prepare for the valedictory session. In fact, this session is to announce the success of this forum. That is the only thing left on our part. It was like only a few hours ago that we inaugurated this grand event at the premises of Nepal Academy, and so soon we are here to say that we have come to the final ceremony. So we all have felt that it was a wonderful success, academically very fruitful, and it was a golden opportunity for us to build up a type of one-to-one relationship with friends in China and South Asia. So this was probably one of the missions when the forum was conceptualized some 4 years ago. And we have been reiterating it time and again that fostering better understanding and friendship is one of our very crucial missions, which we see we are realizing this happening. So before I move on, I would like to invite Honorable Chancellor Ganga Sadhupreti to chair the valedictory session. I would also like to invite the Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Jagman Gurung on the dais to take your chair. The procedure is like this. We'll have some reflection, some impressions from the participant, one from outside Nepal and one from Nepal. So as our international guest, I would like to invite Lu Min from China to be seated on the dais. She will be expressing her impressions on the overall business that we have had over the last 3 days. And Manju Kachuli, Madam Manju Kachuli from Nepal. And I now invite Member Secretary Professor Dr. Jagat Prasad Upadhyay to be seated on the dais. It's a very short ceremony wherein we'll have impressions by our delegates, distribution of certificates, and Kathmandu Declaration. We have drawn a Kathmandu Declaration, which is a 5-point declaration about our resolutions today and in the days to come. So that will be formally declared by our Honorable Vice Chancellor later on. But to begin with, and there is also a very short certificate distribution program in honor of the participating guests. So to begin with, we would first like to listen to your impressions on how you felt about your trip all the way from your country to Kathmandu, and then our business in Nepal Academy and to Chandragiri, and what might happen tomorrow, that is yet there. But to express your impressions, I would like to invite our Chinese group leader, Lu Min. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, good afternoon. It's my honor to be here to share a little feeling and thoughts from our China writer team. Actually, it's from my heart. 我们这次召开这个中国南亚论坛呢，对我们中国代表团来说特别具有重要的意义，因为正好恰逢习近平主席刚刚访问过尼泊尔。
This time, to attend the second China-South Asia Literature Forum in Nepal, this is especially significant for us Chinese writers, because President Xi Jinping a few days ago just paid a goodwill visit to your beautiful country.
在大街 It's not work. Oh, okay, okay. 我们在大街上还有很多公共建筑上还能看到很多关于两国领导人的宣传和照贴。然后我觉得我们这次举办这个论坛呢，也是对我们中国和尼泊尔的友谊，当然也包括对整个南亚区域的一个推动，是我们用文学和文化的力量来进行的一个推动。
When we arrived at Kathmandu, we could still see on the streets the slogans of welcoming President Xi Jinping, as well as the pictures of the leaders of our two countries. And I'm sure the participants of our delegation to this forum and the forum itself is kind of effort of unifying the literature circles of South Asia and China.
那么首先呢，所以我想代表我们中国作家代表团，当然也是代表在座的各位，首先要特别感谢尼泊尔学院对我们这次中国南亚论坛的一个特别精心的组织。
That's why, on behalf of China Writers Delegation as well as China Writers Association, I'd like to take my liberty to express my cordial appreciation to Nepal Academy for your hospitality, generosity, and consideration of organizing this forum so well.
我们在盛大和隆重的开幕式上，我们利奥总理亲自参加。然后像我们有来自我们是有6个国家的15位代表，还有尼泊尔本地的许多作家，我们共同参与了这个伟大的盛会。
I still remember that on the grand, impressive opening ceremony, we were honored to see the presence of Honorable Prime Minister Oli, and together with 16 writers from different countries as well as the writers of Nepal, together we finished this forum successfully.
我们还观看了非常富有特色的各种民族演出，然后品尝到了非常丰盛的尼泊尔的食物所以从这些所有的精心安排，都让我们度过了非常愉快的一个几天的时光。
During the last 3 days, except for academic sessions, we are able to enjoy the cultural show of the music and dance of Nepal, as well as the wonderful food of this place. So this is really a kind of unforgettable time for everyone.
尤其作为我们中国，我们特别想要表达的是，我们从2017年我们倡议推动这个第1届中国南亚论坛在中国成都举办。
Several years ago, together with literature organs of South Asia, China Writers Association established this literature forum with its counterparts with the aim of promoting local literature communication. 2017, the first China-South Asia Literature Forum was held successfully in Chengdu of Sichuan Province.
所以特别高兴看到，在2年之后，我们很成功的在尼泊尔学院的推动下，我们举办了第2届这次的论坛。然后，在我们大家的共同的努力下，我们这次论坛大家就许多议题进行了很多的讨论。
It's a great pleasure to see the success of the second forum based on the efforts of Nepal Academy after 2 years. During this forum, around a lot of cultural topics, we had carried out a series of efficient, well-knowledged, and well-provided discussions.
我们讨论到关于跨喜马拉雅地区的文化交流，讨论到语言的多样性，讨论到翻译，讨论到地区文化和民间故事等等。
Those topics they involved, such as the cultural communication in Trans-Himalaya regions, culture and linguistic diversity, the importance of translation, the narration of folklore, as well as other parts.
在每场的我们的发言之后，我们都有非常长的时间的一个提问和深入探讨的阶段。我们不仅有更多的多元文化的讨论，而且我们作家们还互相交流了我们的写作经历，交换了我们很多的著作。像刚才我们中国作家周宣普也给大家展示了他的作品和交换了作品。
Moreover, after the paper presentations of each session, we also have the opportunity of exchanging our ideas by raising questions, answering them. We express and exchange our ideas multiculturally so that we can fully understand not only the cultural background of each other's country, but also the writing style of each one. For example, Ms. Zhou Xuanpu just clarify her writing style this morning.
所以我们这次论坛不仅取得了非常丰富的多元的成果，而且我觉得最重要的是呢，把我们这个中国南亚论坛进行了一个具有机制性的一个推动，它为我们今后顺利举办第3届的这个论坛，我觉得提供了一个特别好的基础和推动。
So I believe this second forum has achieved a lot of important fruits culturally and literally, and this forum itself is an important milestone of the development of such a multilateral literature platform. I think this forum, the success of this forum will become the motivation of the future of literature exchange of this area.
所以我们也想在这里代表我们所有的与会代表来共同期待下一次第3届的论坛的开展，并且借此机会要尤其感谢尼泊尔对我们这个第2次论坛的成功举办。
So together with all my counterparts, I'd like to expect for the holding of the 3rd forum after 2 years, and I'd like to express my thanks again to Honorable Chancellor for his efforts and leadership in organizing this forum so well.
我还想说的一点就是，我们中国和南亚整个地域是东西方文化交汇的一个中心，也是古老文明和传统区域文化的一个比较集中的区域。我们的双边多边的交流特别重要，所以我在这里也想发出一个热情的邀请和欢迎。
Another point I'd like to make is that Trans-Himalaya region is not only the center of the cultural exchange of ancient times, but also an area of many ethnic, colorful cultures. So it is very important for us to share with each other the cultural development and the literature progress. That's why I'd like to extend my sincere welcome to all of you.
所以想欢迎在座的各个来自各个国家的作家代表，来自孟加拉，来自马尔代夫，来自尼泊尔，来自巴基斯坦，来自斯里兰卡各位作家，我们以后有合适的机会，我们可以跟中国进行双边的更多的文化和文学的交流。
So I'd like to welcome all of the friends participating in this forum, the friends from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Maldives, Sri Lanka, as well as from Nepal and other places. Welcome to visit China, and welcome to carry out more culture and literature exchanges with us.
当然也要感谢你们这次能够来共同参与这次第2届论坛，见到了很多美丽的文学的面孔，很希望能够以后有更多的机会在中国北京再次见到大家。
Thanks for your participants to this forum. This is very fortunate for us to see so many nice smiles and beautiful faces of literature sharing with us your ideas. So I'd like to say I'm expecting to see you in Beijing in the future.
好，那最后我想说的是，今天我们特别好的在最后一天的这个论坛当中，来到了这个群山环绕的，我们能够看到美丽雪山的这个昌德拉基里这个地方。
Finally, I'd like to say it's a great privilege for us to be here on the last day of this forum. This place with beautiful landscape where you can see so many snowy mountains, 昌泽尔基里。
听说在这里许下美好的心愿能够成真。
I was told that if you make a good wish here, if you express your wish here, it will come true.
所以我想，代表我们中国作家代表团，在我们这个论坛上许下一个心愿，就是希望我们以后，这个论坛能够更长期的延续下去，也希望我们中国和南亚的这个跨喜马拉雅文化的这个交流能够延绵不绝，能够推进到更深的高度。
So on behalf of China Writer Delegation, I'd like to say we wish that the literature exchange between China and the South Asian countries could be promoted in the future, and the cultural exchange of Trans-Himalaya area could be promoted and upgraded to a higher level.
Thank you. Best wishes to you.
Thank you, Madam Lumin, for those wonderful words from on behalf of our team here from China. In the same way, I would like to invite Madam Manju Kasuli to represent the delegation from Nepal and express your impressions here.
Thank you. Honorable Chairperson of Nepal Academy, Vice Chairperson, Member Secretary, and the representative from the foreign countries sitting in the dais, and other scholarly persons from our neighboring countries and Nepal. I'm speaking now here on behalf of Nepali participants in the forum. Nepal Academy has organized Second China South Asia Literature Forum 2019. For the last 3 consecutive days, these programs have been going on. This is the last day that we know very well. And in these programs, many papers were presented, and it's our pleasure to have the opportunity to participate in this prestigious program. And we have sharing also in the program, very good sharing our thought, our knowledge, our experiences, our feelings together, our views and visions. That was very nice, and it was our opportunity to get this program and sharing. And one thing it was very touching to me is that we people discussed about diversities in places where we are born, diversities of culture, religion, literature, and all these. And at the same time, we are very proud to say that we have the unity in these diversities. I think this is the first venture of Nepal Academy, the first effort to organize this kind of program here in Nepal, Second China South Asia Literature Forum 2019, in preference of the promotion of trans-Himalayan culture and literary connectivity. This connectivity, this term, beautiful term, has been used in relation to literature and culture also here. So it's very nice. For everybody prefers progress and development of all our nations, trans-Himalayas and South Asian nations. So these kinds of program can help not only the people-to-people relation among our countries, but also the bilateral relation between trans-Himalayan and Asian countries as well. So this program has helped much to promote the relation. So I would like to express my gratitude in this prospect as well. I hope this kind of program can be organized in the future also. We'll be very glad to participate. Other persons also will be very happy to participate, to share our feelings and thoughts. So I would like to extend my hearty thanks and gratitude on behalf of Nepalese participants of these forums. It's a grand success, we must say. Last but not the least, my hearty thanks with best regards to all of you on behalf of participants from Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Manju Kanchuli, for your generous words. As I announced earlier, there will be an address by Honorable Chancellor in this valedictory ceremony, and also the announcement of what we have called Kathmandu Declaration, a document of our collective agreement for future course of action. So for both these events in tandem, I would like to invite Honorable Chancellor first for his address, and after the end of his address, the declaration. Sorry. I revised the program here as instructed. We would like to distribute certificate of participation and honor to our esteemed guest. So I request our volunteers to make preparation for the same. I shall be announcing the names, and these names are in accordance with the order in which the names have been printed in this seminar booklet. So there is no any other scheme behind that. So I would like to read one sample certificate, what is written in the certificate, so that we have an idea about what is there. And then I will start calling the names. Nepal Academy, Kathmandu, the second China South Asia Literature Forum 2009. Certificate of participation. This is to certify that Mrs. Nurun Nahar Khanam attended the second China South Asia Literature Forum 2019, 15 to 20 October, organized by Nepal Academy, Kathmandu, Nepal. Ganga Prasad Upreti, Chancellor, Nepal Academy. So this is the text on the certificate. So may I invite Madam Nurun Nahar Khanam from Bangladesh to receive this certificate. Congratulations, ma'am, and we expect your cooperation in the days to come as well. Next is Mahbooba Rahman, also from Bangladesh. Madam Rahman. Muhammad Akbar Hossain, also from Bangladesh. Muhammad Akbar Hossain. Muhammad Rafiqul Islam. Pias Majid is his literary name. A wonderful poet, Muhammad Rafiqul Islam. Mrs. Chao Chuanpu from China. Chao Chuanpu, Chanpu from China. We are very bad at Chinese pronunciation.
周宣普也上来。
Please, madam. Yes, he's outdoors. She's coming. Mr. Li Chiang. Li Chiang. Mr. Li Xiaodong. Li Chiang first and Li Xiaodong next. Lumin, Miss Lumin. With this name Lumin, we are very comfortable. Lumin. Ah, it's there. She's there. Hu Wei. Mr. Hu Wei, who did a great job bridging the Chinese language with the rest of the languages, and he made us comfortable to understand the Chinese language. Now we have guests from Maldives, Mrs. Isat Agida Hassan. Aisat Agida Hassan. And Madam Rafia Abdul Gadir. Two distinguished delegates from Maldives. Madam Gadir. Mr. Khalid Masood Khan from Pakistan. We have two esteemed delegates from Pakistan. Sir Khalid Masood Khan and Muhammad Hassan Hasrat. Muhammad Hassan Hasrat. Now I come to delegates from Sri Lanka. Mr. Bimal Udaya Hapugodarachi and Dr. Sunil Vijayasiri Vardena. Dr. Sunil. हुन्छ सर. प्रोफेसर अभि सुवेदी हुनुहुन्न, यहीँ राखौँ. प्राध्यापक डाक्टर अमरराज जोशी. आजदेखि हामीले उहाँलाई सेलिब्रिटी पनि भनेका छौँ, अफिसियल फोकलोरिस्ट पनि भनेका छौँ. प्राध्यापक डाक्टर गोविन्दराज भट्टराई सर. गोविन्दराज भट्टराई सर. यसै गरी मेरो आफ्नै नाम पनि आएको छ भन्ने गाईगुई सुने महेश पौड्याल. प्रोफेसर डाक्टर मोहन प्रसाद लोनी सर. प्राध्यापक डाक्टर कृष्ण प्रसाद घिमिरे सर यहाँ उपलब्ध हुनुहुन्न अहिले, हामीसँग सुरक्षित छ प्रमाणपत्र. मिस्टर कृष्ण प्रसाद पौड्याल. कृष्ण प्रसाद पौड्याल. डॉक्टर गीता त्रिपाठी. आई इन्वाइट डॉक्टर गीता त्रिपाठी on the stage. Professor Dr. Jangam Chauhan. Jangap Chauhan. Professor Dr. Jivendra Dev Giri. Dr. Tulsi Bhattarai. Dr. Tulsi Bhattarai. Professor Dr. Triratna Manandhar. Professor Dr. Triratna Mahanandar. Professor Manandar. Professor Dr. Dovinanda Dhakal. Professor Dr. Devi Prasad Gautam. Professor Devi Prasad Gautam. Mr. Nandu Upreti. Nandu Upreti. Mr. Ninu Chapagai. Ninu Chapagai. Mrs. Manju Kachuli. Manju Kachuli is on stage. Manju Kachuli. Professor Dr. Madhav Prasad Pokhrel. He is out. Dr. Rajani Dhakal. Dr. Rajani Dhakal. Professor Dr. Ramesh Prasad Bhattarai. Mr. Ravindra Timshana. Dr. Ram Prasad Gewali. हुनुहुन्न, sir is out. Mr. Ram Binay. Mr. Ram Binay. Mr. Ram Babu Subedi. Ram Babu Subedi sir is here. Professor Rudra Prasad Paudel. Professor Paudel is here. Mr. Basudev Dhakal. Basudev Dhakal is here. Mr. Bidhan Acharya is out. Ravindra Timshana. Ravindra Timshana. Dr. Bindu Sharma. Dr. Bindu Sharma. Dr. Vishnu Vibhu Ghimire. Mr. Vishnu Prabhat. Mr. Vishnu Prabhat. Mr. Sasi Lumumbu. Sasi Lumumbu. Miss Sita Kumari Ojha. Yep, Sasi Lumumbu here. Sasi Lumumbu. Sita Kumari Ojha. Sita is there. Mrs. Sulochana Manandar. Mr. Sneha Saimi. He is not here. Mr. Hiranyalal Shrestha. Yes. I would like to announce the name of our member secretary, Professor Jagat Prasad Upadhyay. Vice Chancellor Jagman Gurung first. Vice Chancellor Jagman Gurung. And now member secretary Jagat Prasad Upadhyay. Professor Jagat Prasad Upadhyay receiving his certificate. I would also like to invite Professor Dinesh Raj Pant. And I think we are aware, I'm inviting all the academic council members of Nepal Academy in this slot. Professor Dinesh Raj Pant is with us, a celebrated historian of this country. Professor Dr. Yogendra Prasad Yadav. Professor Yogendra Prasad Yadav. Professor Dr. Hemnath Paudel. The names I'm announcing are those of the academic council members of Nepal Academy. They had various departments. Professor Dr. Usha Thakur. Professor Dr. Usha Thakur. Mrs. Maya Thakuri. Professor Dr. Gopindra Paudel. Professor Paudel is among us. Our honorable academic council members of Nepal Academy. And we have Lakshmi Mali with us. Lakshmi Mali, I would like to invite Mrs. Lakshmi Mali on stage to receive her certificate. And we have with us Dr. Devi Nepal. What do we do with the certificate of our Honorable Chancellor? Sneha Saimi's certificate will be received by Mrs. Lakshmi Mali. The best is if you receive it now. And on behalf of Ram Prasad Gewali, sir, certificates is being received by Professor Jagat Prasad Upadhyay, our honorable secretary, member secretary at Nepal Academy. Now, we have a very interesting event here, giving this certificate to our Honorable Chancellor. So I would like to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor and also Member Secretary from this part to confer this certificate of honor on our respected and beloved Chancellor Ganga Sadhu Priti, under whose able leadership we have been able to convene here and see one another. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, and Honorable Member Secretary, for the pain you took in distributing these certificates of love and honor to all our international and national delegates. Thank you very much. So before our Honorable Chancellor has taken his seat, again I have to request him to be here for his valedictory remarks and Kathmandu Declaration, if it is proper to make at the end of his valedictory speech. And then we shall move on to listen to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for vote of thanks. So now I invite our Chancellor.
Distinguished participants from home and abroad, the distinguished speaker of the closing session on dais, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Member Secretary, and the participants, distinguished scholar, and supporting staff. Very good afternoon, good and happy afternoon to you all, and best regards. Finally, we are in the concluding stage of the second China South Asia Literature Forum. During these 3 days, we made very active deliberation. We discussed on very important topics that we set in our theme, for which help us to determine the areas, common areas, to work together in the regional basis. So, because of the very meaningful and comprehensive working paper presented by our scholars, this seminar, I think, became very important and successful, and also meaningful. And also the comment made by the other participants on the given topics, on the given working papers, their deliberations, their suggestions also help a lot to recognize the common areas that we have to do in the future. So first of all, I would like to express my very sincere thanks to the paper presenters and the other commentators who made very hectic and meaningful deliberations to make this seminar, this forum, successful. It indeed gives me immense pleasure that Nepal Academy had the opportunity to invite you all to the beautiful Himalayan country for 5 days literary sharing and interactions. And the conference has arrived to the valedictory phase with the exciting, enthusiastic, and august participation of our honored guest from China, South Asian, Chinese and South Asian academies, and from home as well. The forum is meant for building the trans-Himalayan connectivity through the sharing of the aesthetic sensibilities of creative artists of the entire region. It is through the art and literature that we can minimize the growing global tension and spread the vision and voice of love, friendship, brotherhoods, humanities at large. Only through the literature can we best comprehend the social, political, cultural, aesthetic, and diversities. The better we understand the cultural diversity of the nation and the people, the better knowledge we have about them and their thinking patterns. Such an understanding helps us wash away all the blemishes of the misunderstanding and all dark clouds of the ignorance and bring us in bright light where the friendship alone can thrive. I am convinced that this forum has been and will be able to help us better understand the cultural diversity of the region and develop among us a bond of eternal friendship and brotherhood, and no negative impulses in the world will ever be able to snap. Towards the fulfilling this goal of strengthening the cultural connectivities for stronger bond among us and the world at large, the China and South Asia, Asian academies has demonstrated their commitment through their generous and active participation in the conference. In this valedictory session, I take this opportunity to thank you all on behalf of the government of Nepal and Nepal Academy and my colleagues, and on my own for your gracious presence and participation. The program has been successful in bringing us together, sharing socio-cultural treasures and imaginaries. I express my gratitude to Right Honorable Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli for inaugurating the conference and the government of Nepal for extending the support to make this conference possible. All this has been possible because of the dynamic commitment, participation, and support of the academies of Bangladesh, China, India, Maldives, Nepal, and Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. I owe the sense of deep gratitude to all these academies for availing us, the creative individuals like you, to share our common creative impulses. I'm honored to have you all in the conference. I thank all the paper presenters again and participants again from all countries, from home and abroad, for their valuable contribution and deliberation. I would like to thank Nepal Tourism Board for supporting us morally and financially to uphold this conference. My sincere thanks to all involved in the preparations of the conference, especially my supporting staff and my colleagues who are working with me, along with the Vice Chancellor and Member Secretary and other members of the Academic Council and Academic Assembly. My sincere thanks to all involved in the participation of this conference, including my colleagues, friends, employees of Nepal Academy. Finally, I hope that our foreign delegates had a pleasant stay in Nepal. And my sincere apologies for if any unseen inconveniences you feel. We will cherish the memory of your presence here and hope you will go home with the recollections of this country in your mind and heart. I wish you have a safe and pleasant journey back home. Next year, we have a year of visit Nepal 2022. You, as a intellectual representative of the neighboring countries and the friendly countries, you have got some sorts of impressions that Nepal has a rich culture and very beautiful natural scenery and topography. So it is a very important country to be visited. I request you, when you go back to your country, and you will share your experiences to the intellectuals of your country and insist them to visit Nepal. And also inform them what sorts of hospitality, what sorts of manner, what sorts of intangible culture, that means the smiling face of the Nepalese people, which is, I consider this intangible cultural heritage also. In every very terrible stage, with the agony also, the Nepalese people always smile. I smile and smile. So you will describe to your fellow countrymen and insist them to visit Nepal. And if not possible to visit, just insist them to get the information to read the books on Nepal. From tomorrow, this is the final and last formal sessions. Tomorrow, some friends, especially the Chinese friends, are going back to their country. And day after tomorrow, the Pakistani friends are going back to the country. And 2 days after the tomorrow, other friends will be going back to the country. So I wish you very happy, pleasant. We are very sorry that we cannot send the Chinese friend to Pokhara to observe the natural beauty of Nepal. Next time we'll arrange it because of the tight schedule and flight schedule. They are not able to go to the Pokhara. Our Pakistani friends will visit Pokhara. We'll send them in the first flight from Kathmandu, and we'll bring back in the last flight of tomorrow. And day after tomorrow, they will be back to their country, and other friends also. I think in a very limited time, you will have, I expect, you will gather more and more very comprehensive, very beautiful, very meaningful experience of Nepal. So lastly, I would like to, I will express and wish the good for you all and have a very safe journey. Thank you very much. And secondly, we have concluded this seminar. After the conclusion, we have prepared one declaration. What we did, what our deliberation, from the deliberation, what we achieved for the common ground to work together to march forward for the enhancement of the cultural and literary connectivity. So we have epitomized our deliberations in around 6 points, which is named as the Kathmandu Declaration. So I would like to recite it. It is under the consensus of all participant countries. So I would like to declare this declaration. The second South China Asia, China-South Asia Literary Forum 2019, 15 to 20 October 2019, Nepal Academy, Kathmandu. Kathmandu Declaration. At the end of the academic sessions of the second China-South Asia Literature Forum, hosted by Nepal Academy from 15 to 20 October 2019 in Kathmandu, we hereby issue the Kathmandu Declaration as a document of agreement among the delegates from the participant countries, that is Bangladesh, China, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, after a comprehensive deliberation. The first, the academies in the member countries shall carry out the more of inter and multilingual literary translations of seminal literary works of the respective countries and disseminate the same in the member countries. The second, the forums shall organize cross-country visits of the literary artists for enhancing the cultural ties and bringing the artists together, artists and writers together. And devote a couple of sessions on reading extracts from the creative works during the biannual conference. Expand the horizon of forum to include oral literature, theater, and performance, and children's literature by reaching out to artists and scholars of these disciplines. And 5, organize the workshop on translation, creative writing, and language learning at the regional level. Six, they continue the biannual conferences and hold the next conference in 2021 in the country agreeable to all member academies. Country represented is Bangladesh, China, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Actually, 4 years back when we conceptualized this China South Asia literature from, we have set some objective in the sense to find out, to check out the areas, common areas of common importance, common interest, and with which we can march forward to enhance our cultural and literary activities and connectivities. I think the declaration that I read just now is the outcome of the progress of this progress to implement our objective that we set at the beginning of the establishment of the forum. For that, once again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the participants and with them to all the academies who represented them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chancellor, for your wonderful remarks and for declaring, for issuing Kathmandu Declaration. I think we should put our hands together in support of the Kathmandu Declaration that has just been announced here. And before we finally depart, we have our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jakman Gurung, with us. I would like to invite Dr. Gurung for the vote of thanks.
आजको यस कार्यक्रमका सभापति तथा नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानका माननीय कुलपति गंगा प्रसाद उप्रेतीज्यू, सदस्य सचिव प्राध्यापक जगत प्रसाद उपाध्यायज्यू, प्राज्ञा परिषदका सदस्यहरू, प्राज्ञा सभाका सदस्यहरू र नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानका पूर्व उपकुलपति डाक्टर विष्णुविभु घिमिरेज्यू, पूर्व सदस्य सचिव डाक्टर तुलसी भट्टराईज्यू र कार्यपत्र प्रस्तोता एवं सहभागी विद्वानहरू र पत्रकार बन्धुहरू र कर्मचारी साथीहरू र समुपस्थित सम्पूर्ण भद्र महिला तथा सज्जनवृन्द, मेरो कुरो लामो पनि छैन, केही पनि छैन। साँच्चै भन्यो भने अस्ति सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमको स्वागतमा मैले जे भने कुरो त्यही हो। त्यसमा सबै यहाँ भात लागेको जस्तो छ, भात लागेपछि झम्म हुन्छ। अनि रिफ्रेसमेन्टको लागि एक दुईवटा कुरा म भन्न चाहन्छु। जस्तो छोरीलाई अन्माएपछि सुलोचनाका पिताले लामो सास फेरेर बडो रिल्याक्स मोडमा के भनेको थियो भन्दाखेरि, छोरीको घर भो वरण्य वर भो, राम्रो भयो यो बिहा, धन्नैले अरू हात गई थिए छोड्थे त्यसैमै कहाँ भनेर आनन्द लिएका थिए। त्यस्तै अहिले नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानलाई त्यस्तै अनुभूति भएको छ। किनभने नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानको इतिहासमा यस्तो उच्च स्तरको अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय साहित्य सम्मेलन भएको मलाई थाहा छैन। र केही वर्ष अगाडि नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानका प्रमुख संरक्षक सम्माननीय प्रधानमन्त्री केपी शर्मा ओलीज्यूको सदिच्छा अनुसार हिमवत खण्ड साहित्य कला सम्मेलन भएको थियो। वार्ताकर्ता डाक्टर देव नेपाल अहिले प्राज्ञा परिषदको सदस्य हुनुहुन्छ। विदेशबाट थुप्रै पाहुनाहरू आएका थिए, तर ती पाहुना कस्ता थिए भन्दाखेरि नेपाली मूलका गैर नागरिक नेपालीहरू त्यस्ता थिए। तर अहिलेको यसमा दक्षिण एसियाली मुलुकका थुप्रै विद्वानहरू चाहिँ सहभागी भएको छ। र यो सम्मेलनमा भारतले पनि आएर आफ्नो वर्चस्व कायम गर्न पर्थ्यो, किन आएन कुनै, त्यो कुरा उनीहरू जानु, हाम्रो किन टाउको दुखाइ भयो। अब यसमा चाहिँ चिन मिसियो, राम्रो भयो। हाम्रो नेपालका विभिन्न क्षेत्रका वरिष्ठ विद्वानहरूको सहभागी भयो, यसको गरिमा बढेको छ। त्यस कारण यो सम्मेलन सफलतापूर्वक सफल भएको छ। सफलतापूर्वक सफल। र यो कार्यक्रममा नेपाल प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठानको कुदेखि कुसम्म भनेको कुचिकारदेखि कुलपतिसम्म सबैको भूमिका रहेको छ। त्यहाँ सबै धन्यवादका पात्र हुनुहुन्छ। बट आई थिंक दैट फाइनली द क्रेडिट of this conference goes to Ganga Prasad Upreti, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Nepal Academy. Thank you and namaste to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor. And we are finally at the end of these 3 days of intensive academic engagement. And stealing 2 minutes from you all, I would like to say something from my personal side. If I have your permission. For me, personally too, it was a wonderful and enlightening experience. As a member of the preparation committee, we have been convening and deliberating, charting out issues and finalizing areas and finalizing papers for the past 6 months under the leadership of our Vice Chancellor, our Chancellor, and all academic members of the Nepal Academy. We, some faculties of different universities, including Professor Joshi from Tribhuvan University, myself from Tribhuvan University, and other members from various academic organizations, we worked very hard, in fact, under the leadership of our Honorable Chancellor, and we are here today. So I would personally like to thank the Academy for entrusting us and having us on board and assigning us various academic responsibilities in such a very enlightening international engagement. And secondly, you see, I did not allow our Chancellor to give me any specific responsibilities during this 3 days conference so that I can be available anywhere to fill a gap here and there, to bridge a communication gap, and to do whatever is necessary in situ there and then. So while doing that, if there have been any slip, anything that has hurt the sentiments of our participants, both international and national, I would like to personally apologize for that, and learning lessons from these experiences, I promise we shall be doing better next time. Thank you very much. And by taking the permission of the chair, I declare the valedictory session closed here at this point. Thank you for your patience. We'll have tea outside, and then we shall depart half an hour later from this venue, the same way as we came this morning. And before that, we'll have a photo session here. So we all can partake of this photo session and make sure that we are in the records. Thank you very much. Yes, after half an hour, our bus, we shall be departing, so that this half an hour we can use our own way, the best way we can. Thank you. Photo session pasi, half an hour after the photo session. Thank you very much.